Why Thailand still feels different from its neighbors. Chapter 1. The country I thought I already understood. Before I came to Thailand, I thought I understood Southeast Asia. I imagined the region as one warm map of rice fields, temples, motorbikes, street food, and tropical rain. I thought the countries were different in language and flags, of course, but somehow similar in spirit. I believed Thailand was simply one more beautiful country among its neighbors, a place of beaches, a place of smiles, a place where tourists came to rest beneath palm trees. But I did not understand why Thailand felt different. Not better, not higher, not untouched by difficulty, just different. And I did not understand that this difference had been quietly shaped over centuries, not by one single event, but by many small choices, careful turns, and ways of living that were almost invisible to a foreign eye. My name is Daniel Whitmore. I am a British travel writer, though I had begun to feel by the time I arrived in Bangkok that travel writing had made me too confident. I had crossed borders, filled notebooks, interviewed guides, watched sunsets in many countries, and learned just enough history to become dangerous. I thought I knew what made a nation. Then Thailand began to teach me otherwise. I arrived on a rainy evening in June. The plane descended through clouds the color of wet stone. Below, Bangkok appeared slowly, not all at once, but in pieces. A silver river curved through the city like a long sleeping serpent. Highways glowed with moving beads of light. Rooftops shone under rain. Somewhere beneath that soft gray sky, millions of lives were continuing as if my arrival meant nothing at all. At Suvarnabhumi Airport, warm air met me at the door like breath. Not hot exactly, more like the air had been holding sunlight all day and was now releasing it slowly. The taxi driver who took me into the city was a quiet man with gentle eyes. A small garland of jasmine hung from his mirror beside a tiny Buddha image and a photo of two children in school uniforms. First time Thailand? He asked. Yes, I said, but I've been to countries nearby. He nodded politely. Then maybe Thailand will feel familiar. He paused, then smiled, and maybe not. Outside the window, the city slipped past in rain-blurred colors. Orange streetlights, pink taxis, food stalls under plastic roofs, motorbikes moving carefully through puddles. A monk in saffron robes walking under a black umbrella. Office workers waiting at a bus stop, their faces lit by phone screens. The driver turned on the radio softly. A Thai song filled the car, gentle and slow, like someone remembering home. I asked him, why do people say Thailand is so different from its neighbors? He glanced at me in the mirror. For a moment, he said nothing. Then he answered, because Thailand learned how to bend. I wrote that down. Thailand learned how to bend. At the time, I thought it was a poetic answer. Later, I would understand it was also history. My hotel was near the Chao Phraya River. After checking in, I walked outside with no clear destination. The rain had softened to a mist. The pavement smelled of warm dust, wet leaves, grilled pork, and river water. Somewhere nearby, garlic was frying in oil. A boat horn sounded in the distance. The river moved quietly through the darkness. Not dramatically, not like a tourist postcard. It simply moved, carrying reflections of temples, hotels, bridges, old wooden houses, and towers of glass. A city built in layers, a country built in layers. Near the pier, an old man sat beneath a small roof, selling grilled bananas wrapped in banana leaves. His cart was lit by one yellow bulb. The light made the rain look like falling threads. I bought one. He handed it to me with both hands. Where are you from? He asked in English. England. Ah, he said. Long history. I laughed softly. Yes, too long sometimes. He smiled as if he understood more than I had meant to say. I asked him the same question I had asked the taxi driver. Why does Thailand feel different from the countries around it? The old man looked toward the river. Many reasons, he said. But maybe first, you must not ask only what Thailand has. You must ask what Thailand kept. What did it keep? He turned the bananas slowly over the charcoal. Language, king, Buddhism, ways of speaking, ways of avoiding fire. Avoiding fire? He nodded. When big powers came, some countries were burned, some were cut, some were ruled. Siam, he paused, using the older name with care. Siam learned to stand between fires without becoming one. The rain tapped softly on the roof above us. I stood there holding warm grilled banana in my hands, listening to the river breathe in the dark. Before arriving, I had known the common fact. Thailand was never formally colonized by a European power. Every traveler seemed to repeat it, as if it explained everything. But that night, beside the Chao Phraya, I began to realize it explained almost nothing by itself. The deeper question was not simply why Thailand was never colonized. The deeper question was what Thailand became because of that. The old man introduced himself as Prasert. "Come tomorrow," he said. "If you want to understand, don't rush. Thailand does not explain herself quickly." I smiled. "That sounds like a warning." "No," he said gently. "It is an invitation." That night, I returned to my hotel and opened my notebook by the window. Rain slid down the glass. Across the river, temple roofs rose like quiet flames in the dark. I wrote one sentence at the top of the page. I thought Thailand was different because it escaped history. Then I crossed it out. Below it, I wrote, maybe Thailand is different because it survived history in its own way. And outside, Bangkok kept glowing softly in the rain. Not loud, not hurried, not trying to prove anything, just present. Like a country that had learned long ago how to bend without breaking. Chapter 2. The Kingdom That Learned to Bend. The next morning, I awoke before sunrise. The city was unusually quiet. Bangkok is often described as loud, crowded, and energetic. Yet at dawn, before commuters filled the roads and before tourists emerged from their hotels, the city felt almost delicate. I walked toward the river. The air carried the scent of jasmine, wet stone, river water, and freshly cooked rice. Somewhere nearby, a temple bell rang softly. A monk stepped onto a small wooden boat. An elderly woman waited beside the pier with food offerings. Neither seemed hurried, neither spoke. The exchange happened with practiced simplicity. A bow, a smile, a blessing. Then life continued. As the sky brightened, I found Prasert sitting exactly where I had left him the night before. His banana cart was closed. Instead, he held a cup of coffee and watched the river. Without turning, he said, "You came back. You expected me to?" He smiled. "No, but curiosity is difficult to resist." I sat beside him. The river reflected streaks of orange and gold. Long-tail boats moved slowly through the morning mist. Bangkok was waking. "So," I said, opening my notebook, "tell me why Thailand is different." Prasert chuckled. "Foreigners always want the short answer." "And Thais? We prefer stories." I laughed. "Then tell me a story." He nodded. And so he did. "Many foreigners learn one fact about Thailand," he began. "They hear that Thailand was never colonized." "That's true," I said. "Yes, but the important question is why." I leaned forward. Prasert looked across the river. "Because Siam learned something very difficult." "What?" "How to change without losing itself." The sentence lingered in the air. It sounded simple, but it would take me weeks to understand. During the 19th century, Southeast Asia faced enormous pressure. European empires were expanding across the world. To the west, the British controlled Burma and later Malaya. To the east, the French controlled territories that would become Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia. Powerful nations surrounded Siam. Many people today imagine history as a battle between strong countries and weak countries. But Prasert described something different. Siam did not try to defeat the empires, he said. It could not. So what did it do? It learned to negotiate. That word surprised me. Negotiate, not conquer, not resist, not surrender. Negotiate. Prasert explained that Siamese leaders understood something many countries struggled to accept. The world was changing. Ignoring change would not stop it. Fighting every change would destroy the country. Blindly copying foreigners would erase the country's identity. So they chose a more difficult path. They adapted, carefully, slowly, strategically, like bamboo bending during a storm, not because bamboo is weak, because bamboo understands survival. A warm breeze drifted across the water. The city continued waking around us. Street vendors opened carts. Students in uniforms waited for buses. Monks walked barefoot through quiet alleys. Everything seemed ordinary. Yet, I was beginning to see that Thailand's ordinary life rested upon extraordinary decisions made generations ago. Prasert pointed toward the skyline. Glass towers rose behind ancient temples. Modern trains crossed above old neighborhoods. Shopping malls stood near shrines. Skyscrapers reflected monastery walls. "You see," he said. "What?" "Thailand often keeps old things beside new things." I nodded. He was right. In many places I had visited, modernization seemed to erase the past. Here, the past remained visible, not frozen, not untouched, simply present. That afternoon, I visited one of Bangkok's older districts. The narrow streets felt like a living timeline. A Chinese shrine stood beside a modern pharmacy. A family restaurant occupied a building older than many countries. A teenager carrying the latest smartphone stopped to pray at a spirit house. Nothing seemed contradictory. Everything simply existed together. At first, I thought this was coincidence. Later, I realized it reflected something deeply Thai. Thailand often absorbs influences instead of rejecting them. Chinese influences, Indian influences, Western influences, regional influences. Yet somehow these influences become Thai over time, like ingredients entering a stew. The flavors remain recognizable, but together they create something entirely new. That evening, I met a young Thai teacher named Nicha. She taught English at a local school. When I explained my growing fascination with Thailand's history, she laughed. "You are discovering one of our secrets." "Which secret?" "We rarely think in extremes." "What do you mean?" Nicha stirred her iced tea. "In many cultures, people choose one side or the other." She paused. "Thailand often looks for a middle path." The phrase sounded familiar. A middle path, balance, moderation, harmony. I had encountered these ideas before, often in Buddhist teachings, but here they seemed woven into everyday life. Not just religion, not just philosophy. A way of approaching problems, a way of approaching change, a way of approaching history itself. As the afternoon sun softened, Nietzsche shared an example. When foreign technologies arrived, Thailand adopted many of them. I nodded. Trains, roads, education systems. Exactly. She smiled. But Thailand didn't stop being Thailand. The statement sounded obvious, yet it wasn't. Many nations struggle with modernization. Some reject it. Some embrace it so completely that traditional culture begins disappearing. Thailand somehow managed something in between. Not perfectly. No country is perfect, but noticeably. And perhaps that balance was part of what made Thailand feel different today. That night, I returned to the river once again. The Chao Phraya flowed beneath bridges illuminated by golden lights. Dinner boats drifted past. Temple roofs shimmered in the darkness. The city felt both ancient and modern at the same time. I found Prasert waiting. This time, he handed me a cup of tea. No words, just tea. We sat quietly for several minutes. Eventually, I asked, "So Thailand is different because it was never colonized?" Prasert shook his head. No country can be explained by one fact. The river reflected moving lights. Somewhere downstream, a boat horn echoed. Then, what makes Thailand different? He smiled. The same thing that makes every country different. And what is that? The choices people make over many generations. I considered that. History wasn't simply something that happened. History was millions of decisions. Some large, some tiny, some made by kings, some made by farmers, some made by teachers, some made by families. Together, those decisions slowly shaped a nation. Prasert pointed toward the dark river. Imagine water. I waited. Water survives because it moves. The current flowed quietly beneath us. It bends around obstacles. I nodded. It changes shape. Yes, it adapts. Exactly. Prasert smiled. Thailand often survives like water. The answer felt strangely beautiful. Not because it sounded poetic, because it seemed true. The more I traveled through Thailand, the more I noticed flexibility everywhere. People adjusted, communities adapted, traditions evolved, yet something essential remained, something difficult to define, something that connected old Siam to modern Thailand. Later, back in my hotel room, I opened my notebook. Outside, Bangkok sparkled beneath a blanket of warm night air. Motorboats crossed the river. Temple bells sounded faintly in the distance. I reviewed everything I had learned. Thailand had not remained independent because it was isolated. It had remained independent because it understood change. Thailand had not preserved its identity by refusing outside influences. It had preserved its identity by carefully absorbing them. Thailand had not survived history by standing rigid. It has survived by bending. Just as the taxi driver had said, Thailand learned how to bend. And suddenly, I began to suspect that this was only the beginning of the story. Because tomorrow, Prasert promised to explain something even more important. Not kings, not wars, not colonization. Something far deeper. Something that lived inside daily life itself. The reason strangers smiled. The reason conflicts often seemed softer. The reason communities stayed connected. The reason Thailand often felt different even when history looked similar. As rain began tapping gently against my hotel window once again, I closed my notebook. And somewhere beyond the river, beyond the temples, beyond the lights of Bangkok, another piece of Thailand waited to be discovered. Chapter 3: The invisible threads that hold everything together. The next morning, Bangkok felt different. Not because the city had changed, but because the longer I stayed in Thailand, the more I realized that understanding a country rarely begins with monuments, museums, or famous landmarks. It begins with people. The way they greet one another, the way they speak, the way they solve problems, the things they value without even realizing they value them. And that morning, I was about to discover something that explained more about Thailand than any history book I had read. I met Prasert at a small riverside cafe. The owner already seemed to know him. Without asking, she placed a cup of coffee in front of him. She smiled warmly. Prasert thanked her. Nothing unusual. Yet, something about the interaction caught my attention. It felt effortless, comfortable, like a relationship built over many years. When she walked away, I asked, "How long have you known her?" Prasert thought for a moment, "Maybe 20 years." I nearly choked on my coffee. 20 years? He laughed. "Is that surprising?" "A little." He nodded. "In Thailand, many relationships last a long time." The sentence sounded simple, but it stayed with me. Relationships last a long time. Later that day, Prasert invited me to visit a small town outside Bangkok. We boarded a train in the morning. As the city slowly disappeared behind us, apartment buildings gave way to canals. Canals gave way to rice fields. Rice fields stretched toward the horizon like green oceans. The train moved slowly, comfortably. The rhythm of the tracks blended with the distant songs of birds. Farmers worked beneath wide hats. Water buffalo stood quietly in muddy fields. Palm trees swayed in the warm breeze. The landscape felt peaceful, almost timeless, and yet I knew it was not frozen in the past. Thailand was modernizing rapidly. Roads expanded. Cities grew. Technology reached even remote areas. Still, something about the countryside felt deeply connected to older ways of life. We arrived shortly before noon. The town was small. No tourist buses. No souvenir shops. No crowds. Just everyday life. A market. A school. A temple. A cluster of houses shaded by mango trees. As we walked through the village, people greeted Prasert constantly. Shop owners, children, elderly couples, street vendors. Everyone seemed to know him, or know someone who knew him. At one point, an elderly woman stopped us. She handed Prasert a bag of mangoes. He tried to refuse. She insisted. Eventually, he accepted. Then he immediately handed 2 mangoes to a nearby family. The entire exchange happened without discussion, without calculation, without expectation, as if generosity were simply part of daily life. That afternoon, we sat beneath a large tree near the temple, Children played nearby. Monks swept leaves from the temple grounds. The sound of cicadas drifted through the air. I asked Prosser something that had been bothering me. Why do Thai people seem so connected? He smiled. Connected? Yes. Compared to where? I laughed. Compared to many places. He nodded slowly. Then he answered. Because many people here still think in terms of relationships. I wrote that down. Relationships, not transactions. Relationships. Prosser explained that many aspects of Thai society are built around social harmony. Family networks, friendship circles, communities, neighborhoods, schools, temples. Connections matter, sometimes more than outsiders realize. Of course, every country values relationships, but in Thailand, they often remain visible, present, active, even in modern life. People frequently help relatives. Neighbors look after one another. Former classmates remain friends for decades. Families gather regularly. Communities organize festivals together. The individual matters, but the group matters too. As the afternoon grew warmer, a local teacher joined us. Her name was Molly. When she heard our conversation, she smiled knowingly. You are trying to understand Thailand. I am trying. She laughed. That takes time. I had heard those words before. Thailand takes time. Perhaps that was why so many visitors misunderstood it. Tourists often stay for days, sometimes weeks, but understanding requires longer. It requires patience, observation, listening. Molly picked up a fallen leaf. In English, she said, many people ask what Thailand is. I nodded. But maybe a better question is how Thailand works. I liked that. How Thailand works. Not politically, not economically, humanly, socially, emotionally. She introduced me to a concept I had already encountered several times. Kreng Jai, one of those famous Thai ideas that is difficult to translate directly into English. Foreigners often describe it as consideration, respect, thoughtfulness, but none of those words capture it completely. Kreng Jai is the desire not to impose unnecessarily on others, not to create discomfort, not to place burdens on someone if they can be avoided. Not because people are weak, not because they fear honesty, but because relationships matter, harmony matters, feelings matter. As Molly explained the concept, I began remembering countless small moments from my trip. The hotel receptionist who patiently helped a confused tourist, the vendor who quietly corrected my mistake without embarrassing me, the taxi driver who apologized repeatedly for traffic he could not control, the waiter who noticed I was unfamiliar with the menu and gently guided me. These interactions suddenly seemed connected, not identical, but related, expressions of a cultural preference for maintaining social harmony. That evening, the village held a small community gathering near the temple. Nothing spectacular, no grand ceremony, just families sharing food, children running around, neighbors talking, elderly people sitting together beneath hanging lights. The atmosphere felt warm, comfortable, unforced. As the sun disappeared, tables slowly filled with food, grilled fish, sticky rice, fresh vegetables, fruit, curries, soups. Everything was shared. No one seemed concerned about who contributed more. People simply ate together. I sat beside an elderly farmer named Somchai. His face was weathered by decades beneath the sun, yet his eyes sparkled with kindness. When he learned I was British, he asked, "Do people know their neighbors where you live?" I hesitated. "Some do." He nodded. "Good." Then he pointed around the gathering. In villages, everyone knows everyone. I looked around. He was right. People called each other by name. Children moved freely between families. Older residents greeted one another with familiarity built over decades. The village felt less like a collection of individuals and more like a living network. As darkness settled over the rice fields, temple bells rang softly in the distance. The air cooled. The smell of jasmine drifted through the night. And suddenly I understood something important. Thailand's uniqueness wasn't only found in history, or politics, or geography. It was also found in relationships. Invisible threads connecting people. Threads that could not be photographed. could not be measured, yet could be felt almost everywhere. Later, while walking back from the temple, I shared my realization with Prasert. So Thailand feels different partly because people remain connected. He nodded. Yes, even as the country modernizes. Especially then. I looked at him. What do you mean? Prasert smiled. When change happens quickly, relationships become more important, not less. The answer surprised me, but the more I thought about it, the more sense it made. Technology changes. Cities grow. Economies rise and fall. But human connections provide stability, a sense of belonging, a sense of continuity. That night, I stayed in a small guest house overlooking rice fields. The room was simple, a wooden balcony, a ceiling fan turning slowly overhead, a distant chorus of insects singing beneath the stars. The countryside felt incredibly peaceful, far from Bangkok, far from airports, far from deadlines, far from the constant noise of modern life. I opened my notebook once more. Then I wrote, perhaps Thailand feels different because many invisible threads remain unbroken. Family, community, temples, traditions, relationships, not perfect, not unchanged, but still present, still strong, still shaping daily life. Outside, moonlight spread across the rice fields. A soft breeze moved through the grass. The village had fallen asleep. Dogs barked occasionally in the distance. Temple bells chimed faintly in the night. And as I listened to those gentle sounds, another question appeared in my mind. If relationships explained part of Thailand's uniqueness, and history explained another part, what role did Buddhism play? Because everywhere I traveled, I noticed its presence. In cities, in villages, beside roads, inside homes, at markets, at schools, not always loudly, often quietly, like a steady heartbeat beneath everyday life. Tomorrow, Prasert promised, we would talk about that heartbeat. And perhaps through it, I would finally begin to understand why Thailand remains so different from many of its neighbors even today. The rice fields shimmered beneath the moon. The wind whispered softly through the darkness. And somewhere beyond the sleeping village, another piece of the answer waited patiently for morning. Chapter 4. The quiet heartbeat beneath Thailand. I woke before sunrise. For a moment, I forgot where I was. The room was still dark. The ceiling fan turned slowly overhead. Outside, the world remained suspended between night and morning. Then I heard it, a distant temple bell, soft, gentle, almost carried by the wind itself. A few moments later came another sound, birds, then roosters, then the quiet stirring of a village beginning another day. I stepped onto the balcony. The rice fields stretched toward the horizon beneath a pale blue sky. Mist floated above the ground like drifting silk. The air smelled of wet grass, earth, and wood smoke from breakfast fires. Everything felt calm, not empty, not silent. Peaceful, the kind of peace that seems increasingly rare in the modern world. And as I stood there watching the first sunlight touch the fields, I remembered what Prasert had said the night before. Tomorrow we talk about the heartbeat. At the time, I knew exactly what he meant. Buddhism, yet I suspected there was more to the story than temples and monks. Much more. After breakfast, Prasert met me near the village temple. The temple stood beneath enormous trees. Golden roofs glowed softly beneath the morning sun. Wind chimes moved gently in the breeze. Nearby, elderly villagers swept leaves from the temple grounds. Nobody appeared rushed. Nobody appeared stressed. Life unfolded at its own pace. As we entered the temple grounds, I noticed something interesting. People of all ages were present. Children, teenagers, adults, elderly residents. Some came to pray. Others came simply to talk. Some brought food. Some brought flowers. One young man sat quietly, reading beneath a tree. The temple felt less like a religious building and more like the center of community life. Prasert noticed my expression. Surprised? A little. He smiled. Many foreigners think temples are only for religion, aren't they? Yes, but also much more. He pointed around us. Historically, temples were schools. I nodded. Community centers. Another nod. Places for learning. Again. places for festivals. Again, places where people gathered during important moments in life. The more he spoke, the more I realized how deeply woven temples were into Thai society. Not separate from daily life, part of daily life. We sat beneath a Bodhi tree. Its leaves shimmered in the sunlight. A monk walked past carrying a broom. Children laughed somewhere nearby. The atmosphere felt remarkably ordinary, and perhaps that was the point. Buddhism in Thailand often seemed less like an occasional activity and more like a quiet background presence, like music playing softly in another room. Not always demanding attention, yet constantly influencing the mood. Prasert picked up a fallen leaf. Many visitors think Buddhism explains Thailand. I nodded. It doesn't? He smiled. Nothing explains an entire country. Fair point, but Buddhism helps explain many things. I waited. The way people think about patience. He held up one finger. The way people think about suffering. A second finger. The way people think about anger. A third. The way people think about change. A fourth. The way people think about balance. A fifth. Then he lowered his hand. Not everyone practices the same way. Of course, not everyone believes the same things. I nodded, but these ideas influenced society. That influence appeared everywhere. Over the following days, I began noticing it constantly. In traffic, in conversations, in business interactions, in family relationships. Again and again, I encountered a preference for patience over confrontation, for moderation over extremes, for acceptance of change rather than endless resistance to it. Not always, not perfectly, but frequently enough to notice. One afternoon, I spoke with a university lecturer named Arun. He taught history. When I described my observations, he smiled. You are seeing one layer of Thailand. One layer? There are many. I laughed. That seems to be the answer to everything here. Arun laughed too, because it is true. He explained that Thailand's culture had been shaped by numerous influences over centuries. Buddhist traditions, local traditions, regional traditions, Chinese communities, Indian influences, royal institutions, modern global culture. Everything layered together, nothing existing alone. The result was a society that often preferred adaptation over rigid certainty. A society comfortable with complexity, comfortable with contradictions, comfortable with coexistence. As the afternoon continued, Arun shared something that fascinated me. Many foreigners expect Thailand to fit neat categories. I nodded. I did too. But Thailand often refuses. The statement made me laugh because it felt increasingly accurate. Thailand was modern and traditional, urban and rural, fast-moving and relaxed, deeply spiritual and highly commercial, ancient and futuristic, sometimes all at once. Perhaps that was one reason Thailand felt different from many neighboring countries, not because it lacked complexity, because it embraced complexity. Instead of choosing one identity, it often carried many identities simultaneously. That evening, I returned to the temple. The sun was setting. Golden light spread across the grounds. Monks prepared for evening prayers. Villagers arrived quietly. Some carried flowers. Others carried food. Children removed their shoes before entering buildings. Nobody seemed instructed. Everyone simply knew what to do. Traditions moved naturally through generations. Not forced, not announced, simply lived. I sat near a lotus pond. The water reflected the fading sky. Lotus leaves drifted gently across the surface. A dragonfly hovered nearby. Everything felt incredibly still. Then an elderly monk sat beside me. His English was excellent. We spoke for nearly an hour, mostly about life. Not religion, not philosophy. Life. At one point, I asked him, "Why does Thailand feel different from many places?" The monk smiled. I was beginning to notice that everyone smiled before answering difficult questions, perhaps because they knew there was no simple answer. Finally, he said, "Because Thailand has spent a long time learning how to live with change." The phrase sounded familiar, very familiar. Almost everyone I had met seemed to return to the same idea. Adaptation, flexibility, balance, change. The monk looked across the pond. Everything changes. I nodded. The weather, yes. The economy, yes. Governments, yes. People, yes. The monk smiled. If change is unavoidable, then wisdom means learning how to move with it. His words reminded me immediately of Prasar's bamboo metaphor. Bend without breaking. Adapt without disappearing. Remain yourself while accepting change. Suddenly, I realized these ideas appeared repeatedly throughout Thai history, repeatedly throughout Thai culture, repeatedly throughout everyday life. As darkness settled over the temple, lanterns illuminated walkways. The village grew quiet. Crickets began singing. The scent of incense drifted through the evening air. And I found myself thinking back to my original question. Why does Thailand feel different from its neighbors? The answer was becoming clearer. Not because Thailand had avoided change. Not because Thailand had remained frozen in time. Quite the opposite. Thailand had changed constantly. But it had developed ways of carrying old values through new eras. Ways of preserving continuity amid transformation. Later that night, Prasar and I sat outside a small tea shop. The stars shone above the village. The roads were nearly empty. A cool breeze drifted through the darkness. I shared my thoughts. So history matters. Prasar nodded. Yes. Relationships matter. Yes. Buddhism matters. Yes. I smiled, but none of them alone explained Thailand. Prasar smiled back. Now you understand. For a while, neither of us spoke. The village settled into sleep. Somewhere in the distance, a dog barked. A motorcycle passed slowly along a quiet road. Then silence returned. Finally, I asked, if all these things explain Thailand's uniqueness, what is left? Prasar looked toward the stars. For a moment, he said nothing. Then he answered quietly, the future. I blinked. The future? He nodded. Many people talk about Thailand's past. That's true, but understanding a country means understanding where it is going to. The answer surprised me, yet it made perfect sense. Because Thailand's story was not finished, not even close, tomorrow would be my final day with Prasert. And together we would explore the question that connected everything. How a country could remain itself while continuing to change. How Thailand entered the modern world without completely losing its roots. And perhaps why, after all these centuries, it still felt different from so many places around it. The stars shimmered above the sleeping village. The temple bell sounded once more, soft, gentle, like a heartbeat in the darkness. And somewhere beyond the rice fields, morning was already preparing to arrive. Chapter 5: Why Thailand Still Feels Different Today. My final morning arrived quietly. The village woke as it always had. Roosters announced the sunrise. Mist drifted above the rice fields. Temple bells echoed through the cool morning air. Women prepared food for their families. Farmers began their work. Children put on school uniforms. Life continued, as it had yesterday, as it would tomorrow. And somehow, that simple continuity felt important. Because after weeks of traveling across Thailand, I had begun to realize that the country's uniqueness was not found in dramatic moments. It lived inside ordinary ones. Prosser and I took the train back to Bangkok. The journey felt different now. When I had first traveled this route, I saw landscapes. Now I saw stories. Rice fields that had fed communities for generations. Temples that had served as centers of learning. Villages connected by invisible networks of family and friendship. Cities that had grown without entirely forgetting what came before. The scenery outside the window had not changed, but my understanding had. As Bangkok appeared on the horizon, skyscrapers slowly emerged above the morning haze. Glass towers reflected sunlight. Elevated trains crossed above crowded roads. Construction cranes stood beside historic neighborhoods. The city looked modern, very modern, and yet, beneath that modern appearance, I could now see deeper layers. Thailand's present was built upon centuries of adaptation, centuries of balance, centuries of careful navigation between old and new. That afternoon, Prasert and I sat beside the Chao Phraya River one final time. Boats moved steadily across the water. Tourists took photographs. Office workers hurried home. Monks walked quietly along the riverfront. The entire country seemed to pass before my eyes in miniature. Old and new, fast and slow, traditional and modern. Together, I opened my notebook. Its pages were filled with observations from the past weeks. Questions, conversations, reflections, lessons. I looked at Prosser. I think I finally understand. He smiled. Good. I laughed. You don't even know what I'm about to say. He shrugged. Then say it. I looked out across the river. The answer had taken far longer than I expected, because every simple explanation had eventually failed. Thailand was not different because of one king, one religion, one historical event, one cultural tradition, one political decision. Countries are never that simple. Instead, Thailand's uniqueness came from many threads woven together over centuries. And perhaps that was exactly why it was so difficult to explain. I think Thailand feels different, I began, because it learned how to change without completely losing itself. Prasert nodded slowly. Continue. I took a breath. It adapted when powerful empires surrounded it. Another nod. It modernized while keeping older traditions visible. Another. It absorbed outside influences without abandoning its own identity. Again, it values relationships and community in ways that still shape daily life. Again, and Buddhism helped create a cultural preference for balance, patience, and flexibility. Prasert smiled. Very good. For a while, we watched the river. Then he added something important. Thailand is also different because it has never stopped changing. That sentence surprised me. At first glance, it sounded obvious. Of course, every country changes. But his point was deeper. Many outsiders imagine culture as something fixed, something preserved in museums, something protected from change. Thailand seemed to view culture differently, as something living, something evolving, something carried forward rather than frozen in place. That evening, I walked through Bangkok alone. One final walk, one final chance to see the city. The streets glowed beneath neon lights. Food vendors prepared evening meals. Families gathered at restaurants. Young professionals filled cafes. Students laughed outside convenience stores. Motorbikes flowed through traffic. Temple roofs shone between modern buildings. The city felt alive, confident, comfortable in its contradictions. Near a busy intersection, I noticed something I would have overlooked weeks earlier. A small spirit house stood beneath a towering office building. Workers in business suits paused briefly before continuing home. No one seemed to find this unusual. The old and the new coexisted naturally, not competing, not replacing one another, simply sharing space. It was a tiny moment, yet somehow it captured everything I had been learning. Thailand had never been a country trapped between past and future. Thailand seemed determined to carry both. And perhaps that was why visitors often found it difficult to categorize, because categories prefer simplicity. Thailand preferred complexity. As night deepened, I returned once more to the river. The Chao Phraya reflected thousands of lights. Dinner boats drifted past. Bridges glowed against the dark sky. The city hummed softly around me. Not loud, not chaotic, alive. I found the same bench where Prosser and I had first spoken. The bench was empty now. He had gone home. Yet his lessons remained. I opened my notebook to the first page. There I found the sentence I had written on my first night. Maybe Thailand is different because it survived history in its own way. I smiled. The sentence was not wrong, but now it felt incomplete. So I added another. Thailand is different because it never stopped adapting, yet never completely forgot who it was. Then I paused. After a moment, I added one final note, and perhaps that balance is still shaping its future. A warm breeze moved across the river. Somewhere nearby, a temple bell rang. The sound drifted across the water, soft, steady, familiar. I thought about everything I had learned, about kings and diplomacy, about villages and families, about Buddhism and balance, about resilience and adaptation, about relationships that lasted decades, about communities that remained connected despite rapid change, about a country that had repeatedly chosen flexibility over rigidity. Before coming to Thailand, I believed the country was famous because of beaches, food, and tourism. Those things were real, wonderful, even, but they were not the reason Thailand stayed in people's hearts. The deeper reason was harder to photograph, harder to explain, harder to summarize in a guidebook. It was a way of seeing the world, a way of navigating change, a way of preserving connection, a way of balancing old and new. And perhaps that was the greatest misunderstanding many foreigners carry when they first arrive. They assume Thailand is a destination, a place to visit, a place to experience, a place to leave behind. But the longer you stay, the more you realize something unexpected. Thailand is also a perspective, a way of thinking, a reminder that strength does not always come from resisting change. Sometimes strength comes from adapting gracefully, like bamboo in the wind, like water moving around stone, like a country that spent centuries learning how to bend without breaking. The river continued flowing beneath the lights of Bangkok. Boats crossed the dark water. The city slowly settled toward midnight. And somewhere in the distance, beyond the towers and temples, beyond the neighborhoods and canals, beyond the roads stretching toward every corner of the kingdom, countless stories still waited to be told. Stories hidden in villages, stories hidden in mountains, stories hidden in islands and markets and temples and rice fields, stories that explained not only what Thailand is, but why Thailand continues to surprise those who believe they already understand it. I closed my notebook. The journey was ending. Yet somehow it felt like a beginning, because every answer had created new questions. And every story had revealed another story waiting just beyond it. The river carried reflections downstream. The city breathed quietly beneath the stars. And as Bangkok drifted gently towards sleep, I found myself smiling. Thailand had not simply changed my understanding of one country. It had changed the way I thought about change itself. Good night. Thailand still holds countless stories waiting to be discovered. If you would like to continue this journey together, I hope to see you again in the next story from Thailand Through Eyes. And if there is somewhere in Thailand you wish to visit through story, leave your suggestion below. Perhaps our next journey will begin there.